This is Emma and Maddie, and you're listening to the In Charge podcast.
We are two best friends that have created an aesthetically pleasing scheduling and personal growth app, and we're here to help you become in charge of your life.
You slayed that.
Hi, guys.
Hi, welcome back to season 3 of the In Charge podcast.
If you're watching this on YouTube, then you will see we're visual.
We are visual.
We're visual.
This is our first podcast studio. We're actually kind of nervous because there's like lights and soundboards and like crazy things. So 2025 is feeling like a little level up for us, which is so exciting.
I can't believe how much the podcast is growing already. I mean, one day maybe we'll have a live audience.
No.
We could be the next Sophia and Cinzia.
No,
we can
seriously. I didn't even think about that. I remember like last year at the end, one girl came up to me and was like, oh my God, you're the girl from the In Charge podcast. I was like, you listen to that.
I know.
Like that was wild that people are listening to this. Like this is crazy. So if you're listening and you've been listening since season 1, thank you so much. We appreciate all of your support and we're just so excited for all the coming seasons.
Yes.
It's
and
just
if
going to
you
be crazy.
are listening on Spotify and you didn't know, we're visual. So head over to our YouTube channel also.
Yes, and you'll also be able to see it visual on Spotify. They
I
told
didn't
us.
know this.
Yes. So
Hello, guys.
Hi. How fun. So, I guess what we're going to do this season is I know that you all kind of, if you've been listening to season 1, season 2, we kind of mentioned our favorite thing of the week. But we're actually going to now give business updates because business is moving quickly. In Charge is moving quickly. So especially at the beginning of this year, we have a lot going on. So a little business update.
Yes. Well, I mean, apart from the fact that this has now happened, we are also teeing up to launch the website version of the app, which is honestly, if we think back to like 2.5 years ago when we first, brought this baby into the world, I can't believe where we're at. I cannot believe where we're at. And do you know what? At that time, Maddie and I had a lot of ideas for In Charge. I wouldn't say a website was one of them.
No, I know. We were very hesitant because we didn't know how we would make it into one.
Yeah. And it's coming alive and it's better than I think that we could have ever even dreamed of.
No, when they showed us what they'd come up with the visuals of the website version, I was in shock.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. It's perfect. It's
beautiful.
Everything I've ever imagined for a website. Like we saw things like this on Pinterest. We literally showed them the Pinterest version. We're like, surely it's not going to look anything like that.
I know.
And then it looked 10 times better.
I know.
We're so excited. I actually haven't even checked. Have you refreshed it?
No.
Anytime soon? Recently,
haven't looked at it. But from what I last saw, like it's there.
Yeah.
And it's looking gorge. It just needs to be. The thing is when you're creating these things, you guys, like if you look at the app, it'll look different in, different phone types. It'll look different on an iPad, all of that kind of stuff. So what they need to do is they need to create it obviously for their screen. And then my laptop screen must have looked different to theirs. Maybe they've got a bigger one. Maybe they've got a smaller one.
So true.
And for mine, it didn't fit. So they were like, yep, that's totally fine. Like we're going to go through and make sure it modifies to every 13 inch, 15 inch, 10 inch, whatever it may be.
It's so weird because I wouldn't have thought of things like that.
Neither. Neither. I know.
So absolutely. And it's not there yet, but the coding is pretty much almost all done. It's just like the final touches, which is really exciting. So can't wait for that. That's the update for the website right now. We're looking at like few weeks, really.
Yeah, well, a little bit, update in the business is that we're aiming for the beginning of January. We were then aiming for the beginning of February, and we are now aiming for the beginning of March. So, I mean, that is business. That's like that's why we don't update you guys too much on the socials, because in all honesty, like a lot of it is day by day. But the update right now is that it's coming and it has been built. So hopefully as I said, we're aiming for the beginning of March.
Yes. And we're going to be really transparent with you guys with these. Like we want to know, we want to kind of tell you, what's going on, what we're struggling with that week, what's going well that week, but also to show you the business up and downs, like through all the processes that we're having and what's going on, and just be like so transparent and keep you guys updated with In Charge, because that's one thing we regret is like not showing all of the journey or sharing so much of it, because there was so many times where we didn't and we're like, oh, do you remember that? Remember this? So this is our little sign to ourselves to make sure that we're doing that.
Yes, exactly. And that's actually a really good way to lead on to how are you feeling in this new year? How are you feeling in 2025, how are the stress levels?
I feel like Emma and I are stressed. We're dealing with some January stress, and we talked about this literally yesterday.
Yeah.
And that's when we decided this was going to be like the first episode was going to be about January stress and expectations and creating this, like reinventing yourself almost, and this pressure of January, and then you hit February and you think you're failing essentially.
Yeah.
And I think Emma and I have had a little drizzle of that.
Yes.
Maybe a bucket of it. But I also can only imagine, like I was thinking about my stress and how I was feeling. And then I thought Emma was on holiday for the first 3 weeks of January. I can't even imagine how you're feeling of like when you came back. So I guess maybe we should start with like what kind of goals we had for like the intentions that we set. I mean, one of them, both of us, was more organized. Have I gotten on top of that? I don't. I don't really know. I think I'm getting better, but I'm definitely not where I wanted to be. But I know that I think now that's like the February is realizing it's not going to be like, you can't just start a new year and everything changes. Like it does take time and practice for you to get there.
Yes. And there is that crazy thing about a new year. And that, like Maddie said, that's really what we wanted to talk about on this podcast, because this will relate to you whether you're already a successful business owner and you're like, okay, in the new year, I want to, 10x my business, or whether you're somebody who is just deciding to step into that person, right? Because I think, if you're somebody that's got big goals and big expectations like Maddie and I do, there's something about the new year. I don't know why we do it to ourselves. And it's interesting to what you said about me being away on holiday, and something that I'm quite disappointed in myself in a weird way, because when I was away and the new year came in, it's almost like I couldn't enjoy my holiday anymore.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I was like, but I'm supposed to be doing all this stuff, and I'm supposed to be exercising and working towards my dream body, and I'm supposed to be 10xing my business, and I'm supposed
20,000 steps.
But why? You know what I mean? Like I was coming back 2 weeks after the new year, but why do we put this idea that it's like it rolls over into a new year? And it's not that we need to grow ourselves. We have this like expectation that we've got to be like a whole different person.
Oh, 100%. And it was like this expectation of like, okay, I was like, wow, everyone's looking back on their year and how much they've grown and everything that we've done.
Yeah.
And I think almost I get this like little spark up my bum, and I'm like, wow, if I've grown this much in the last year, imagine what I can do next year.
I know.
And Emma and I have this toxic trait of like constantly feeling like where we can't settle, we have to keep pushing and going further.
Yeah.
And because I was kind of looking and giving a reevaluation of like my year. I was like, okay, well, I'm going to do this, but, double the amount. And then I get 1 month in and I'm like, okay, well, that's actually not realistic. It's like if you're to say, I want to lose a certain amount of kilos or like take off a certain amount of body fat, and then you get to your dream of that, the more you go throughout, the harder it's going to get, because you're dropping that weight essentially. It's going to be easier at the beginning, and especially when you're starting something new. So I feel as if that's what was happening to me. I was like, okay, well, now I'm going to make myself sick with putting myself out, because I'm already maxing myself out. And then if I'm to take that to the next level. So I feel like if you're somebody that's already putting these practices in and you're like already walking 10,000 steps a day, you don't need to now, just because it's a new year, walk 20,000 steps. Like, it's okay to keep that consistency and have a new year goal of being like, you know what, I'm doing great. I just need to stay consistent, and I'm so excited to see those results of consistency throughout the year.
Yeah, and this is so interesting, because I was actually thinking about this today when I was thinking about this podcast. And this is why I really don't like the concept of 75-day hard. I've really been thinking about this. And I think that if you're somebody that doesn't do any of those things, the expectation of working out twice a day, completely changing your diet, going from not reading at all to like reading a lot to not drinking that much water to drinking 3 liters a day, like the craziness that it puts you into is, I think like it's kind of reminds me of a new year where I'm just like, I feel like people just put so much expectation, and I feel like if you're somebody that is like, okay, I've never had healthy practices before, and in the new year, and you just dive into something like, say, 75-day hard, it doesn't it's not realistic. You're actually going to end up hating the process.
Oh, 100%.
You're actually, like, 75-day hard is not something that realistically many people can keep up. When I tried to do it, found it very, very hard. I don't even have like a 9-to-5 job or a family or like whatever.
Oh, your whole life purpose was this 75 hard. Like you
Yeah.
had to make it your entire commitment and personality. I was like, this is insane.
And it doesn't give you any time to take care of yourself. Like the amount of times where I was like, it's that time of the month, or I'm just like genuinely like in pain, or like my body is telling me, girlfriend, you need to rest. And you're like, I can't, I've got to do 2 workouts. You know what I mean? And you're like pushing yourself. So I guess like that's kind of what I was coming back to in the sense of in a new year, it really should not be about flipping who you are as a person, like completely, and being like, okay, I never did exercise and now I'm going to go to the gym every single day of the week and I'm going to do 20,000 steps a day. Or, you know, again, there's that whole narrative of like stepping into the person that you want to be. Those things, you guys, like are small practices that you do every single day.
Absolutely.
And those are things that you're going to be able to keep consistently throughout the year. And I think that's kind of like a lot of it and what Maddie and I were talking about yesterday as well, is like that pressure comes from like wanting to do too much too soon.
Yes,
and a lot of it is just, no, like it's all about putting small practices in that can be consistent, that, you know, you can actually do day to day without stressing yourself out and making the process miserable. And then at the end of the year, it's all compounded into
the
whatever
beautiful result.
You're going
and a lot
towards.
of our things that we wanted to achieve were happening at the end.
Yeah.
Like,
oh my God, yeah.
Yeah. So it almost was like we were almost saying to ourselves like, oh, that might not happen this year, and that's okay. And then it would all of a sudden magically happen. I was like, oh, okay, cool. Like this is amazing. Yeah. So like that's what I've learned is no expectation, just going in with the action. But also this is why we wanted to also do this podcast, because a lot of you are probably feeling that January, not only January stress, but the January burnout of like, okay, well now this all of this that I wanted to do, I can't do this for 12 more months.
Yeah.
But I think what's important about the new year is what I've learned is reflection of being like, okay, and this is what I'm having a new year. Yeah. Like I'm now restarting. Okay.
I love that.
I've decided that. I'm having a reflection where being like, okay, what did I not like about last year? And what did I love? What was my favorite parts? What would I do again, do more of? And what do I not want to do? And that's a tongue twister. What do I not want to bring into the new year?
Yeah.
So I think that's the most important, is like, okay, looking at your life as an overall, or being like, okay, what's making me happy? What's making me sad? How can I do those changes? So if you're not happy with your health, if you're not happy with your job or whatever that may be, okay, how can I take small actionable steps every single day this year that's going to help me get towards there? And it doesn't need to be a full on, full reinvent yourself change. It can literally just be like, okay, well, I'm not happy with my health or what I did. I was eating out too much, or I was, not prioritizing myself in that way. I'm going to start small and figure out how to incorporate those practices in my life. Because then again, like you can't expect to just go from like your daily routine now that's so totally different, and you probably wake up and you have a vape and an iced coffee for breakfast to literally like 30 grams of protein, 10,000 steps, like craziness. So I think even if you want to have like a little new year, and have that reflection and be like, what didn't I like? What did I love? And what do I do more of? And that's really what I've been doing, is being like, okay, even when it's coming to work, coming to my health, like what did I like? And even then, like, for example, 4 days a week training. Yeah. I have been like that. I've been loving that. I'm like, you know what, realistically, for how many businesses like we run, how much time I can, like, even though it's my job is like to work out, essentially I'm like, for my mental health and for my physical health, my body loves 4 days a week. Yeah. So that's something I'm like, okay, I'm going to bring that into the new year. And then if it's like, I didn't like that I did that, or that I felt like I was, not, I don't know what that may be, but like those sort of things that I just felt like that was a push, that felt like it was too much, or I was doing too much there, or when it doesn't feel like in flow. Yeah. You know that feeling when it feels unauthentic, it feels like you're punching through a wall to make it happen. Yeah. I'm like, I need to let go of that stuff, because if it's not happening, it's not happening, essentially. Yeah. So that's kind of been me and how I'm feeling, I guess, in this new year. And that's why we wanted to really talk about it and just be like, okay, how are you guys feeling? Like,
Yeah. And I'm the same when I reflect on the last year. So interestingly, when you're talking about working out, all I've done recently, so this kind of goes back to this a little bit, is before the new year started, I was convinced that I was going to get a PT. I was going to do all of these things, right? And I then voice messaged Maddie maybe a couple of days later, and I was just like, the idea of walking every single morning and doing my steps and going to a PT or going to Pilates or whatever it may be actually does less good for me than what you'd think. So because I am such a morning routine person, because I am the most productive in the morning, because it's my favorite time of the day, I was like, I feel like what you were saying, it's not in flow. I'm getting up, I'm forcing myself to do all of this movement or whatever it may be, and then come home just to almost like tick a box. And this year I was just like, do you know what? Like, I really love my morning routine, and I really love walking, and I really love doing my personal development when I'm walking, and I really love getting up early and like vlogging my days for people. And that's what makes me happy. And that's actually how I'm the most productive. So since I've come back from my holiday, so it'll be about a month and a half almost, all I've done is walk 12,000 steps every single morning. And I can so say that I'm the happiest I think I've been in like years.
No, I know.
Because I get up, and I get up nice and early, and I do the walk, and I spend that time with my partner, and, we talk about our days, and it's almost like our time to catch up and be together, because then we both go and do our businesses or whatever. And, I get my morning matcha, I get my morning coffee, and I come home, and then, I just feel the serotonin is going, the dopamine's going, I feel amazing. And then I get straight into, I still have so much time to do whatever it is I need to do in my morning routine, where it's have my greens, fill my day, have time to do my hair, do my makeup, make myself feel good, to then be able to show up in whatever way that may be in that day.
It's so funny because I felt this from you when you were talking to me, and you're like, I want to go walk and then do a session. I was like, why does this not feel like Emma? Like, I feel like you are designed to do that morning routine. Like, you are so happy and like vlog your morning, and I just see your little video where you're like doing up the blinds and like having a little yawn. I'm like, that's the vibe. That's Emma to me, It's like, if you're going to work out, I feel like you're going to do it later, or like in like in the afternoon.
Yeah. And that's the crazy thing, is I've actually been working out more than I was before, because I'm actually doing it because I want to go and do it. So what I do everything that I want to do, but I don't enter my day with the expectation of you have to go to the gym and you have to do this workout.
Yes.
I've done my movement, and say that I don't end up going to the gym, I've still done my movement. And it's in a way that I love,
That's
right?
so true, yeah.
But like most days, I've just been finding myself, I've been working in the morning, and then I'm like, I just need a little pump up, I need a little move, I need to get out of my desk, whatever it may be, I need a break. And I find myself going down to my apartment gym and just doing like a dumbbell workout, just doing stuff. And I feel, I'm like, I'm doing this because I want to do this.
Yes.
Right? I've made myself come down here because I actually wanted to do this. I wasn't forcing myself to do it. But it's the same with business as well. I feel, so the first thing you almost need to do is reflect on who you were the year before, like Maddie said. And a lot of the time I see people, there's like this thing where you like step into her, you're like becoming her, whatever it may be. And again, people do too much. And not to plug the app, but I'm going to. The app is a really good representation of small positive practices that you can do every day that is going to lead to a big change, because you guys, it is small practices that you do every day. And if you look at the app, you can put in just like 5 or 10 affirmations. You don't need to be somebody that writes 50 affirmations a day. Like if you go into, the gratitudes, you'll see there's only 3 in the morning and 3 at night. You don't need to be scrambling your brain being like, oh, I should be at least putting down 20, you know what I mean? And you've got the prompt there to put in the vision board. Just, prompt yourself every single day just to look at it. You know what I mean?
Seriously.
Building it is step 1, and then just look at it every single day. And it's the same with like your wellness goals in there. You've got the water, you've got the steps, you've got the sleep, and just set them to things that are realistic at this point in time. If you know me back in the day, I was never a 5 a.m. girl.
No, neither was I.
Never.
Do you remember we used to laugh? Like we used to be like, we are only going to wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning. I was actually saying this on my vlog. I was like, we would only wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning if we're parents. Like that's to save to when we're a mom. Like we work for ourselves. We have so much luxury in our lives. Like why are we waking up at 5 a.m. when we can wake up at 9?
I know.
Like
I know.
what do you mean? So
I know.
yeah, same.
And for me, when I decided I wanted to become that early morning person, because that was important for me because I am the most productive in the morning. I didn't one day wake up at 11 a.m. and the next day wake up at 5. Like these are things, again, you can put gradual steps into. So you set your alarm for 9 and then you make sure that night you go to bed a little bit earlier and then 8 and then 7. And then all of a sudden now I'm a grandma. I'm in bed by 7:30 and I'm awake at 5.
Same. If I'm yawning at 8 and people at dinner when I'm like with people and they're like, "You okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's my bedtime." Like I'm at 4. I have this. I'm so predictable. You and I are so predictable. Like I have my alarm at 4:50. I press snooze for 10 minutes and then I'm up. So I'm up at 5. And
sometimes it's just the ability to press snooze, and you're like, "Oh, this extra 10 minutes is gonna feel so good."
No, exactly. I knew. I was like, I'm predictable like that. I know. So I agree. And even the gratitude thing, like this is what some people don't like. They're like, gratitude isn't going to change my life. But I'm like, 3 positive thoughts in your brain every single day is going to make you like a positive person. Like it's going to create a positive mindset.
Yeah.
If you think about how much negative talk you can put yourself into on a daily basis, especially if you're not used to being positive or you're around negative people, whatever that may be, like especially your first thoughts in the morning, if you just sit and you're just like, wow, like I'm so grateful for these things, whatever, that impacted my mind and my ability to just do things that I love or work towards my goals so much more because I was grateful.
And you find yourself doing those practices without even thinking. So an example is, not to be morbid because it's really not, but the past week I've been really sad and there's no reason. So don't feel sorry for me because nothing has happened to me. I'm I now, if you're looking at the visual, I have many mountains on my face. I'm teeing it all up to the fact that I think the time of the month is very much coming. You know what I mean? I'm like, okay, my body is giving every sign that we're not in a good place right now. Which is fine. But the interesting thing is I was on my morning walk and I was just like, I couldn't shake it. And this is the thing, like, because nothing had happened, I was like, I kept, I'm like, what is it? Like, what is it? And it was so interesting because I was walking down the boardwalk and I just started saying what I was grateful to myself about.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because, oh my gosh, it honestly turned my day around. But because I'm so used to doing my gratitudes, my brain immediately goes to, okay, you're down, move your body because you know it's going to make you feel good, and start thinking about the things that you are grateful for to make yourself, pull yourself out of that and be like, oh my gosh, no, life is so good. I'm so grateful for the weather, my friends, my family, whatever it may be. And I was actually thinking on this walk, I was like, wow, that's how small practices and just like little things that I've done every day. One day you'll be feeling something or something's happened or whatever it may be, and you'll see the way that you react to it and you'll be like, wow, those things that I did in small pockets of my time for years has all led up to the way that, when I wasn't feeling great, I could have stayed in bed all day and eaten food that maybe was going to make me feel like worse and make me feel worse and make my skin worse and whatever. But my automatic reaction was like, no, get up, move your body, get out in the sun and say what you're grateful for. And it was one of those moments where I was like, yeah, wow. Wow, those small practices are really impactful.
No, and you know what? I was actually talking to my partner the other day and she was like, they're not bullshitting when they tell you a routine and a like working out and eating healthy and going for walks and saying positive things to yourself actually betters your mental health. She's like, it really makes you happier. And I was like, no, yes, literally. But I was also, this made me realize, I was also talking to somebody, like if you're wanting to get into gratitudes and you just want to start somewhere, even if you download the app with somebody, but even if you screenshot the app and text it to somebody in your life, or maybe you live apart from your partner or maybe your best friend and you're like, you know what, we need to turn our life around, So even if you want to get like a little screenshot or you send each other little gratitude every single morning when you wake up and you're like, good morning, I'm so grateful for X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
And that puts not only you but that other person in a positive mindset because you're being fed something positive and you're saying something positive. So I thought that was really cute. So I want to just stress on this. Like you don't have to completely freaking change your life or reinvent yourself, become her, whatever that may be. You can just do small things if you're like, you know what, I was quite sad last year for no reason, or maybe it was just because I don't like this about it, but there's certain things that we know we can't change. So why don't I just do small things every single day that are going to make me feel a little bit better?
Yes.
And maybe that's like, even sometimes I'm like, maybe it's not going out on the weekend and like, you know, getting drunk and then waking up hungover and it affects your whole week. Like maybe it's painting with your friends at night or going to tennis or like cooking a home cooked meal with your friends or doing a dinner party. Like there's so many things you can do that are so wholesome that feed your soul that are going to make you feel better. And that's also something I'm realizing is like, you know what? I love going out to dinner, but I also, the thing that makes me so happy last year was like when I would cook for my friends and like we'd all eat it. And like, that's something I was like, I want to do more of that because that actually like feeds my soul.
Yeah.
And I don't need to do all of these crazy things like go out, you know, make more money to then spend on insane dinners and like take all my friends out to dinner and pay for it. Because that's what I was trying to think, like, how can I level up my life? But I was like, no, you know what? Leveling up my life is having an amazing home, being able to feed all of my friends, but buy the groceries and bring them all over and give them my time.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, that's such a good, I'm growing, I'm maturing. So Emma, I feel like you're in your organized era.
Maddie, I am in my organized era. And if you guys didn't know, Maddie and I both created a platform called In Charge. It's a website and an app that helps you stay organized and also encourages you to implement daily positive practices that's going to get you closer to your goals.
Yes, so Emma and I before this, we had multiple journals and diaries help us become the versions of ourselves we need to be successful in our businesses and in our life. And after seeing the impact it had, we decided to create a space to blend them all together electronically. So now it doesn't matter where we are, what we're doing, we literally feel like we can stay on track.
One of our favorite parts is that it is so aesthetically pleasing. It has 5 different theme colors to choose from. My personal favorite is pink.
I love the blue. It's so cute.
But it also has a lot of other functions, not just scheduling. So it incorporates things like steps, sleep, and water tracking. It also has a goals and a vision board section, a to-do list, as well as journaling, affirmations, and gratitudes.
It's so much. And if you're like us, you're wanting to become the most successful version of yourself this year, you can sign up to InCharge now at inchargeapp.com and use the code podcast for 15% off your subscription.
That's podcast for 15% off your subscription. Yeah, and that's totally right. And I think the new year, a lot of the time, it's crazy. The reflection period is how can I change myself? And I think it's super important that we, you know, this is your guys' homework. Is yes, you need to go back and be like, okay, what did I not achieve last year that I said I was going to achieve?
Yes.
Not that I wanted that, but I told myself I was going to achieve and I didn't stick to it purely because I wasn't disciplined enough or purely because I knew I didn't do the personal development, purely because I knew I didn't do the work. Like things that are easy that you just know that you didn't do because it was honestly laziness, let's be real.
Yeah.
But I also want you to go down and be like, okay, but what was I proud of last year? You know, what did I do? Because it is okay to bring to, and this is where Maddie and I need to get better because we did have an incredible year last year. And we did achieve so much. And there's so much to be proud of. And honestly, bringing the people that we were last year into this year is a massive blessing. And that is something that we should do with pride and then be like, okay, what things can we then implement into our life? Again, like we were saying, you know, it can just be small practices that will elevate all of those things. You know what I mean? Instead of going, okay, but, you know, this year I want to 10x my paycheck. It's like, okay, but you don't need to go like crazy. You don't need to be 10xing it. It's just this year I want to grow my income. And how do I, you know, what do I put into my daily practice that will do that? And as that grows in the year, like you'd be very surprised what it is that you'll achieve instead of putting that pressure that I'm going to 10x it and then just like being stressed out of your mind every day.
You know what? I'm going to use our business as an example. Yeah. Okay. So we do want to 10x our subscriptions. Like that is our massive goal. The thing is that overwhelms the absolute shit out of us when we think about how many people that is or what that's going to encounter and what level that work. But Emma and I went, you know what, we're going to take a step back. What are small actions that we can put in place now that are actually going to help achieve that?
Yes.
So we took it all the way back. We went, okay, we need to just come to the conclusion that we need to stop being control freaks and not do everything ourselves and hire somebody to help us and accept defeat because we're not going to do this on our own, okay? If we want to 10x 10x people don't do it all on their own, you know? So we hired our beautiful Ella, which is our social media gal. And she is incredible. So that is something that we know.
Ella.
Shout out Ella, we love you. That is something and someone that we put into place that will help us get there.
Yes.
Another thing, this podcast, we know if we grow the podcast, more exposure for In Charge, more exposure for our business, let's be real. So we go, okay, how can we level up the podcast? Ta-da! Hi. And now we're here. So there's so many little things that we're doing. And then even like the website launch has been like a big project, but it was one of those things. It was like, okay, website launch is little compared to the actual app launch, but little things that we can do that are going to get us there that don't feel overwhelming as the 10x subs that we want.
Yeah.
You know, because now I'm not thinking about that. Now I'm thinking about all the little things that we do daily. And then we're just going to be like at the end of the year, oh my God, Emma, we did it.
Yes.
But we're not going to be like hustling, grinding, like sending it, you know, doing all these things because we know that's so overwhelming and it's going to last, a month? And then we're going to be like, no, bye. If you say the word In Charge, I'm going to cry.
Yeah, it's so true. And that's the thing is, if you look back at anything, if you look back at when we came up with the idea of In Charge, we weren't like, okay, we're going to do an app and then we'll also launch a website version and we'll also do this and we'll also do that. We were like, okay, we're going to start with an app. We're going to start with an app and then we'll see how that goes. And then, you know, it's the same with the podcast. We're like, okay, we'll do season 1. It'll be what it is. Season 2, like, let's, you know, implement an intro song. Woohoo! And then, you know, season 3, we're like, okay, let's make it a little bit more professional. So, you know, that's like what Maddie was saying. Like, you just start somewhere.
Yes.
And you don't need to be the best of the best at everything. You just start somewhere and then you grow as you go along. And you'll be so surprised what you do with that. And that, this podcast episode, I think, is, you know, it's for you guys, but it's just as much it is for Maddie and I, because we did sit down and have that big chat yesterday where we were just like, we should not be having a meltdown 1 month into the year. Like, you know what I mean?
Not. No.
Something's not gone right. And that is the fact that we've just immediately put so much pressure onto ourselves, and that we just need to figure out what it is that we want to achieve and implement the things into our life that is going to do that. And this is your reminder. If you're, you know, wanting to build a business or build your business bigger, like, don't go in with like this just giant, huge expectation of completely flipping your personality, changing who you are as a person. Like, if you're like, I want to lose weight, like, don't cut crazy calories and walk 20,000 steps a day. Like, everything in life is consistency. Like, you just start by cutting a couple 100 calories and then you do that, or with your business.
Walking.
Exactly.
Like, just whatever you can do. Like,
even if it's like
anything.
just walking to the supermarket and back instead of driving there.
Yeah.
Like, if it's down the road from you, or, you know, taking your kids to the park more and being like, I'm going to walk there, or, you know, walk your dog a little bit more. Your dog would love that. Like, you know, things like that. And then with your business, it's like, you know, you don't have to go into the new year being like, at the end of this year, I'm going to have done $100,000 in sales. It's like, have a target. That's great. But, you know, a lot of that, the fact that maybe you hadn't done it before, a lot of that's going to be in the little practices, AKA your personal development, maybe how much you're moving your body, you know, looking at maybe at your friend circle and being like, there's 1 or 2 people that shouldn't be there, or whatever it may be, and kind of start with those small practices, because I guarantee you, it's kind of what I was saying with 75 Day Hard. I see people in 75 Day Hard and they do it, and then afterwards they like almost congratulate themselves by being super unhealthy or whatever it may be, but they don't ever carry on the practices.
No, they're like, okay, I'm done. I did it.
Exactly. I've done it. I don't need to read anymore. I don't need to. So this is why I'm like, this year I did my like own version of 75 Day Hard. Now I was like, I'm going, you know, I'm not going to do 2 workouts a day if I can't do 2 workouts a day.
Seriously.
Or if my body doesn't feel like it. Like, I'm just, you know, I'm going to make sure that I just move my body, and I drink more water, and, you know, I put in practices that I'm like, but at the end of the day, I'm not beating myself up. At the end, I've still drunk water, but maybe I haven't drunk 3 liters of water, but I'm not going to bed being like, oh my God, like completely, you know, you're chugging water next to your bed. That honestly is achieving what?
Yeah, exactly. And it's also like, back to what we literally preach within Charge is like putting your energy and your positive energy into daily actions. And that's exactly what we do with our business, rather than overwhelming ourselves with like these huge, massive goals of what we need to achieve. Because then when we do it and we're like burning ourselves out for it, when you get it, you do that. You literally go, oh, like I need a breath now. Now I'm never going to work a day in my life. And you know how many times we've seen that with friends or people that we know that literally get to that point and like, why did you put so much pressure on yourself for that one goal?
Yeah.
And now just to literally take a breath and never pick it up again. Like I want to make sure that like our goal is to do less and less with our business and like step away from it so that it completely runs itself. So I think that is, it's been really good realization this year of just like putting that positive energy into every single day. And also just being like, you know what? I think like the water situation, but with my business I used to go to bed disappointed that I didn't achieve everything that I wanted to that day. And I think you've just got to, my new saying is bless and release.
Yeah.
Like almost like, okay, yes, my to-do list didn't get as much done, but what am I going to do about it now?
Yeah.
I'm tired. I need to go to
you
bed.
probably did way more in your to-do list than you would have done otherwise.
Yes. And so I'm just like, you know what? Tomorrow's a new day. I
Yeah.
can only do what I can every single day and work towards that and not put this insane pressure on myself.
Yeah.
But also just like, I don't know where I was going with that. Can you pick it up?
Yeah. I'm going to say like there's somebody who was doing or is doing 75-day hard around me. And the amount of time she said to me, she's like, Emma, like I'm so tired. I'm so tired today. I don't want to finish my 10,000 steps. It's 9 p.m. at night. And it was a really good reminder to me because I was like, okay, so why are you doing this? Like literally,
seriously.
What is it actually that you're getting out of? Because you're already a disciplined person. A lot of people say 75-day hard is for discipline. You're already a disciplined person. So you're actually just putting yourself through practices that you think that you should be doing for what, for who? Because it's actually not for you. You just told me that you're tired and exhausted and you don't want to go for a walk at 9 p.m., which quite frankly, who would want to do that? Like, so a lot of it, you know, for me is also looking at what you're doing and being like, okay, what am I actually doing this for? So it's kind of, I was training my team the other day and I was like, when you're reading a personal development book, are you reading to read? Or is that book actually getting you closer to where you want to be or actually helping your mindset? Because there's a big difference between the practices that you do every day and just doing it to do it. So I'm like, okay, so you're just doing 75-day hard to do it? Like, is that like, because we all know you don't need it really. So, okay, so you're actually just putting yourself through misery. Again, like if you're somebody that's like, I'm reading personal development or I'm doing personal development, it's like, okay. So I was saying to my team the other day, I have, if anything, far too good of a money mindset. This girl thinks that she can have everything and more.
Same.
So I'm like, if I went down my boardwalk and listened to how to have a good money mindset, I've not done personal development. I've listened to a podcast for sure.
Yeah.
But I haven't done personal development because quite frankly, I did not need that. Like that was just listening to listen.
Yes.
So a lot of the time when you're looking at your daily practices, which ones do you actually not need in there is what I would say. And which ones can you actually change? Because a lot of the time you could be wasting your time doing that second workout. You could be wasting your time reading that book because it's actually you don't need it. You could be wasting your time, you know, drinking that much water because at the end of the day, like if you're chugging water, you're probably not like your body's probably not taking it in any way. It's just peeing it back out. Let's be real. And you're just getting up 10 times in the middle of the night.
And then it's just more miserable because then you have a bad sleep and then you're into the next day and it's a cycle, honestly.
Now you're not getting your 8 hours in. But yeah, this is also your reminder that to look at your daily practices, look at how hard you're pushing yourself and be like, okay, is everything that I'm doing like actually necessary? And this is the conversation Maddie and I were actually having the other day when we look at all the different things that we do and the avenues that we were trying to go down and the things that we were trying to achieve in each avenue and stuff. And then it was kind of like, well, what are we doing it for? Like, what are we doing this particular thing or that particular thing? What is the end goal with that? Are we going to get out of that what we wanted to get out of it?
Yes.
And if not, then why are you stressed?
No, like why are we stressing over it? Like it's literally just to stress about it. Like we're a little bit of a stress addicts at this point. I don't know how to like deal with my life without stressing a little bit.
I feel like sometimes it's a mental thing. I was saying to Brock the other day. So when I go to the gym with him, like I'm so funny with the gym because I don't lift like super heavy. As I said, I'm going to the gym now more to enjoy it than to make myself miserable. Because at the end of the day, if I know that I'm like making myself miserable, I won't go back. So I'm like, I'm going to go and I'm going to lift weights. They obviously hurt, but I'm not the grunters in the back of the gym. You know what I mean? It's like having a complete mental breakdown because you won't see me there tomorrow.
No.
But it was funny because I was saying to Brock, I said, when I go to the gym, especially if I do an arm workout, because I haven't like sweated, I'm like, okay, I haven't done anything. So I go and do like 10 minutes on the Stairmaster. And he's like, do you feel better now? And I'm like, yeah, I feel like I've done the world's best workout. You know what I mean?
No, I know.
And it's the same with stress. Like sometimes we just want to stress.
Oh my God.
Because we're just like, it actually feels like we're doing something. Because when I put my body under stress and I'm like, sweat, move, be in pain, I come out and I'm like, that was the best workout
That's
ever.
so productive.
And yeah, literally. And it probably like, 9 times out of 10, the weightlifting was actually the most productive part. But it was just the fact I put myself through misery to sweat.
Yes.
That I told myself, no, that's the productive part. And I feel like a lot of the time we do that with stress. Like if Maddie and I go through our day and we're like, that was a bit too easy.
Oh,
you know,
Emma, you're unlocking something. You're calling me out.
I'm like, what can I do right now to make myself miserable? So I go to bed being like, that was a productive day.
Yeah. Wait a second. And I'm having a full-on realization that I do this because at the end of the day, if it was too easy, I add 7 things to my to-do list and
you
go,
work hard enough. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's it. Yep. Oh my goodness. Wow. Okay. Yeah. And you know what? It's so funny because when I talked to Isabella about like programming for people and everything, she goes, on an arm day, we just do just get them to do like 5 or 10 minutes of cardio at the end and it feels more productive. And I'm like, oh, yeah, because I'm the same. I'll do an arm work. I didn't sweat, but then when I sweat. Yeah. And same with abs. Like I feel like you throw an ab circuit at the end and you think you're like, I'm getting shredded.
Shredded, yeah.
But really that ab circuit's doing nothing. Like, frankly, it's your diet, you know?
Yeah. No,
so it's crazy.
I feel like that's a great way to end, honestly.
No, seriously.
That was a little bit of a light bulb moment for us both. I think if you're somebody that goes, if you've done everything on your to-do list and you've done your small steps that you've done every single day that you're implementing in yourself, like into your life, then go to bed happy and proud. This is what we need.
Yes.
This is what we're going to do in 2025 is if we've done the small steps to making us who we want to be and they align with where that we want to go. And, we've done, majority or some of what's on our to-do list, then that's great because you could not have a to-do list at all, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
And then you would do nothing. Or if you've moved your body even a little bit and gotten that, dopamine in, then we're all going to go to bed proud this year and we're not going to, like I was referencing to 75 Day Hard or Maddie was saying she just put 7 things on our to-do list. We're not going to do things just to do things this year.
Yes,
like we're not going to put our mental health and our bodies and whatever through mental or physical torture just to feel like we've done something. Because a lot of the time, you guys, if you actually go full in on something, like I said, cutting 500 to 1,000 calories straight away or like walking 20,000 steps or
doing crazy things,
reading and doing 2 workouts and walking, whatever it may be every single day, you will find that you won't keep that up. And what you'll find is maybe you had 2 months of productivity of whatever that means at the beginning of the year, and then you fell into your old habits for the next 10 months. So this year is not going to be about that. It's going to be about the small habits that we're going to do, and actually Maddie's going to talk about this when we do the health podcast about her kind of like consistency in that, which you guys will love that one. But a lot of it we just need to be consistent for 12 months with the small things. And we're all going to bed every single night of this year doing our gratitudes and proud of ourselves.
I love that so much. And you know what? Like, I want just to give everybody to end off like reassurance. Like if January has not gone to plan, like do not write off the year. And I've seen that trend everywhere right now. And I love it. Like I actually laughed so much because I was like, people really do that because you put these crazy expectations and pressures on yourself. And I've done this. I'm not saying it's you guys, it's me too.
Yes.
And it's so easy to just throw in the towel. And I think if anything, just reflect on that and be like, whoa, okay, I took it a little bit too far.
Yeah.
Like, let's just reel it in a little bit and that's okay. And let's do something that I can stay consistent for the entire year so I can see those results for the entire year.
Yeah. I love that.
Love
I
that.
love that so much. I think this is it's almost like a therapy session for us, Maddie.
Yes, it was. Oh my goodness, I love this so much.
Very
and I
good.
loved the new visuals. I love the new chairs. They're really comfy, guys.
No, they are really comfy. And you guys, if you're only watching this on the podcast, I have been really taking care of my posture through this. I don't know if you've noticed, Maddie
I've got
and
my
I
hand
are
here to support me because I'm feeling like I'm doing this one.
No, seriously, our backs have been straight. Another goal for 2025, better posture. But yeah, thank you guys for checking in on season 3. We're so excited for all the other podcasts. We actually chose them all yesterday, and you're gonna love them.
You're gonna love them all. Bye, guys. Thank you so much.
Bye. We love you.
Love you. Bye.